Okay, looks like I am live. Hello, hello, everybody. Whoops, this is too big. Hold on. Let me figure this out. It has been a hot minute since I have been live, and let me just adjust my camera just a little bit. Okay, just want to have my head in the right place in the frame here, and everything's backwards, and I look like a hot mess here, but where's my little thingies? Okay, there they are. Okay, so thank you for being here and thank you for allowing me to adjust all of those little things because I've been on live for a minute and forgot how all that worked. So, my name is Kristen Brown, and I am a spiritual and empowerment author and mentor. And I help people heal their inner world so they can attract and create the most ideal, optimum, fantastic, hands down, best outer world, best experience that they have ever wanted in their life. Because the truth is that you can have anything that you want in this life, except for maybe somebody who doesn't want you, which is why we're having this conversation today. To date, the most viewed video on my channel is Stop Chasing Someone Who Doesn't Want You. And in fact, I was looking on other people's channels not so long ago, and I noticed that that is something that is on their channels too. That is the one topic that gets the most views. So, hey, little iodine. So that means that so many of us are obsessing over somebody that we can't have. And I'm no stranger to this because I did my share of obsession with one guy. This wasn't all throughout my life. It was one time in my life with one particular guy, and it was a doozy. And it had me stuck for quite a bit of time. And I will start off by sharing that story with you all so you know that I can relate. So I had met this guy after my second husband had moved out and abandoned the family. He left and I was over him quite quickly because he was narcissistic and abusive, and these are all factual things, and he had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, and he was a cheater. So this was kind of like a slow burn and a downward spiral, and eventually when it happened, it wasn't him that I was upset about. It was the situation that I was in, that I had just retired from doing hair, and I'd given up my 19-year full packed awesome clientele to stay home with my kids. We had a massive house with a big mortgage on it. And basically, I had no means of income or way to sustain my family. And I was about to be homeless. So it was that whole thing that started me on this healing journey. But before the healing journey started, I had a little cherry on top of that healing journey. And this is where it got really hairy, is because I don't know, let's see, he left in August. And this was about October-ish, I want to say, that I met this other October, end of September. I can't remember, but it was a couple months after he had left. And I was just out one night with some friends and I met this guy and he was really nice and charming and fun. And that was it. And I left. I was like, okay, it was really great to meet you. Thank you, for restoring my faith in good men. That was the words I said to him because we had talked about his children and what type of father he was and the things that he did for his kids. And I was like, wow, there is still good guys out there. But I left. I left at like 10 p.m. because I probably had to work the next day or something. And I just, didn't want to stay up late. So I left and then he called me. Oh, he asked my phone number somewhere in there. And then he called me and he's like, yeah, I'm going to be going out of town. And then I have this work thing and that work thing. So in about 2 or 3 weeks, I'd love to get together. And I was like, no, 2 or 3 weeks, this sounds like to me I have a very busy schedule and not something that I want to do. So I shrugged him off and he ended the phone call with, I'll call you. I was like, yeah, whatever. Well, he ended up pursuing me pretty hard. And then when he got back in town, he was like, I'd really love to take you to dinner, this and that. And he was cute and all the things. And we had fun and we ended up going out. And a couple times we went out. And then actually at some point along the line, he declared that he loved me and that he just couldn't believe he found me. And I was so amazing. And then he came clean that he was still technically legally married. He had been away from her for, I think, 3 years, but they had never gotten divorced. And he was living with his mother and his father at the time who had cancer because he was helping with that. And this wasn't because of lack of money or anything like that. He made really good money, but he was doing this for his family. So again, I'm thinking, oh, great guy, great guy. This is great. I was a little put off for the fact that he didn't tell me that he was married initially. In fact, he did tell me he was divorced, but being in the state that I was at that time, I didn't really catch that as a lie. My empathetic and feeling person was like, oh, he didn't want to tell me because he likes me so much and he was insecure and he didn't want to think that I wasn't going to, that I might not want to be there for him and all these things. So, of course, I made the excuses like we do. Nowadays, I would really sit on that if somebody had told me such a bold-faced lie, and I would probably pull my energy back quite a bit and to see what would come of that. But that was not that was the unhealed version of Kristen. So anyway, this relationship starts going and he's taking me out of town and we're going to places and we're doing things and we're like two peas in a pod and we laugh and we have fun. And I remember one time we were sitting at a hotel bar and we were having a drink and somebody came up to us and said, "How long you guys been together? You are just the cutest couple," and this and that. So, on all outward appearances, it looked great. The sex was great. The time spent together was great. His personality was great and it looked great. So at one point, I'm thinking this is just moving forward. And I honestly thought this was the gift for having just gone through that hell that I had gone through and the other relationships before that that were just not lovely. And I thought, wow, this is really just my gift because God sees me and knows that I deserve this thing. And that's before I had a greater understanding about these type of things. But on one weekend vacation, after we just had glorious sex and a lovely dinner, and we had been hanging out in a hot tub and just having a really great time, he literally says to me on this weekend, just like kind of in a by the way kind of thing, "By the way, I'm not interested in a relationship." Excuse me? What have we been doing for the past how many months? Right? I was like, I was very confused by that. And to be honest, had I had my own car, I would have left. I literally thought about I didn't have Uber. I'm not sure if we had Uber and all those things back in that time, but I literally would have left. I thought about this and I was like, what the heck? I mean, I didn't even know what to do with myself. So the drive home the next day was silent and I was going to be moving out of the big house and into my parents' house and he was supposed to help and all these things like the following weekend or something like that. And I did not message him, I didn't call him, I didn't anything. And at one point, the day of the move, he said, "I'm driving by your house right now." So there's a freeway that was fairly close to my house, and I'm on the 101, "I'm driving close to your house right now," and all these type of things. And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's nice." No, you don't get to come in and, flaunt come in after you've declared to me that you don't wanna be in a relationship with me. Like, what is this mind fuckery that's happening here? I mean, this was a hard, hard time in my life for me. I was leaving my home, I was moving in with my parents, with my kids, and I was packing up. I was literally dumping drawers into wrapping packing paper. I mean, I wasn't even going through stuff because I wasn't gonna need any of these things. Anyway, moving forward, you would think that that would be the end of it because that sounds like Kristen was strong and Kristen was great and she knew her worth and she wasn't gonna do this. But what happened was he would call me occasionally and he would text me occasionally. He even had the audacity to text me once and say, "I'm sitting here looking at pictures of you, and I'm so sad that I cannot reach out and touch you." I remember thinking to myself, bro, you're the one who broke up with me. Like, what kind of mind was going on here? Like, what was happening? But the problem with all this is that I really loved him. I really enjoyed him. I had a great time with him, and I thought he was gonna be the one. So even though I had the strength to not fall into that, in fact, at one time, he said something about being, F buddies, bed buddies, and I was like, "No, I'm not doing that." Right? So, I was good enough for that, but I wasn't good enough for a relationship, and I was really not okay with this. So, anyway, as time went on, he at some point said to me that he was going to, that he needed to get through this divorce. I'm not sure where this was in the timeline, because maybe we did see each other again some point, I don't remember. But he said to me he needed to get through his divorce first, and then he was gonna reach back out to me when it was all over with, and get this, and if I was gone at that point when he reached back out to me, it was gonna be his sadness and his loss. But if I was still there, then yay, his win and everything is wonderful. So I very quietly waited and waited and waited for this to happen and waited for him to get to the place where, he was gonna call me back after his divorce was finalized and all these things, which, by the way, I had nothing to do with. Like I said, he had been separated from her for 3 years, and frankly, he hadn't been with anybody. I was the first person that he had been with, and if you knew the personality and my inner knowing, I could tell that that was true because of based some things that had gone on. And at any rate, months went by and I didn't hear from him, and when I finally reached out to him, I was like, "Hey, just wanted to see how things are going, what's going on?" And he said to me, "Oh," he said, "Yeah, the divorce has been final for quite some time." And I was like, "Oh, I thought you were gonna reach out to me." He's like, "Yeah, well, that about that. Yeah, I just decided that, I didn't wanna be in a relationship with you and this and that and the other thing." So, now that I'm remembering, I'm sorry I'm doing this real time with you guys, but I remember I'm not sure that was the very ending. So somewhere along the way, we must have dabbled again in the relationship. So at that point, I was like really blown away by this because he had given me these little promises and these little hopes and these little things. And of course, me being the understanding, empathetic one, I was like, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, no, do what you need to do. I mean, I'm not someone that's going to impose upon what somebody needs to do. I mean, go take care of yourself. And then this is what happened. But the problem is that I stayed transfixed on him. I stayed what I would call obsessed with him. Now, obsessed in a way that I stalked him or called him and texted him? Absolutely not. But obsessed in a way that I could not get this guy off my mind. He was on my mind 24/7, 365. I mean, it was horrible. I could not move out of this space. It made me nervous. I had chronic anxiety. I was just in the worst possible place that I could have been in because over this guy. Now, mind you, there's a lot of other things that were going on at this time as well. So this was kind of like the cherry on top, and this is what actually promoted my College of Kristen. This is what made me vow to remain single and celibate until I figured these things out. And now that I'm remembering, the whole thing about the pictures came after the official closure of the breakup. And he had texted me another time when he was at some hotel that we were at in Sedona, Arizona here, and he said, took a picture of it. It's like, "Guess where I'm at?" Like, trying to, get in again, and I was like, "Why are you doing this?" Inside of my head. Okay, with all that being put aside, when I tell you that I know a little something about obsessing about somebody, I do. And I understand where you're at. And I don't know how long that you've been doing this or how long you were dating your person. And frankly, it doesn't really matter because the fact that we're obsessing on somebody is what matters. And it's painful and it's hard and it's dragging us down and it's keeping us from living our best life. And I've been there. I mean, I'd raise my feet if I could too, because this was not a fun experience. And in fact, so many people had said to me, I remember girlfriends saying to me, like, "This is not like you, Kristen." And I remember saying, "No, it's not. Like, I don't do this. When I'm broken up with someone, I'm broken up with them and I move on." I mean, I did it with my tsunami ex. I think it was 21 days, literally, because I counted on a calendar because there's only a few things that I remember in my life, you all, that are the actual dates of things or how long they took. It's because it was so mind-blowing to me that I went back and did the math, or I looked on a calendar or something and, like, put that date in my head. So that was one of the things is that I was sad and scared and worried and all of those things and nervous wreck when my tsunami ex left. But at one day I woke up and I was like, "Thunk," like literally back to my normal Kristen, my happy-go-lucky, having fun, living life, hope-filled Kristen Brown. I mean, it was back to me. And I looked on the calendar and it had literally been 21 days. So I am able to get over people quite easily, which is why I thought I could move on because it was such a horrific relationship. I thought that I could move on. And when this other guy came in, there's a part of me was like, yeah, I don't want to date him. But then he kind of weaseled his way in. Now, some of you might thinking, is he a narcissist? I didn't get that far in the relationship to know that. I personally don't, is that's not what I would call him. I would not call him a narcissist. I have my theories about why he did the things that he did, but that is not what I would call him. But as I was moving on through this, I had to find a way to get past him. In fact, I was asking God every single day. Excuse me, I drink some water. Thank you. I was on a walk one day, and this is a really weird story, but I'll give you the really textbook, really quick version of it. I was on a walk one day and I was just screaming out to God and I was like, "Please help me. Why can't I get him off my mind? Why do I keep thinking about him?" Now, as you all know, I am a spiritual coach and I'm going to share with you some woo-woo here. Take what you want, believe it if you want, don't if you want. That's up to you. But this is the God's truth of what happened. And while I was, and by the way, I'd been meditating like a mofo during this time. Like I was doing anything I possibly could to calm my nervous system, and I was on a healing path. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was on the healing path. So meditation was like a huge, huge part of my life, still is. So I was on a walk and I was just saying, God, please help me. I mean, I just was so frustrated. This was like 11 o'clock in the morning and I'm walking down 84th Street. I still remember the street. And all of a sudden, poof, I went into this kind of altered state. It's the only way I can explain it. And what I mean by altered state is that I no longer see myself walking down the street. I'm in kind of like a dreamlike state, I guess you could say. And there was this light being that was in front of me, and it was the shape of this. It went like that. Okay. But it was so big that it filled the whole screen. I'm trying to get here. It was like this. It just had what appeared to be like a head sort of shape. It was white, but cloud-like is the best way to say it. It was like a misty, like a cloud, but you couldn't see particles or anything. It was androgynous. It spoke through its mind to me, and it was just nothing but a pure, unconditional, loving presence. That's all I can tell you. And in this state, I remember kept trying to get out of a desk chair similar to this one. I had arms, and I kept trying to get up and kept trying to get up, and without touching me, no physical contact whatsoever, no arms, no nothing, but it would gently push me back down into the chair. Again, no hands, no contact, no face, no mouth, no nothing. And then I tried again and tried again and tried again. Each time it would set me down in the chair until finally I went, oh, it kept saying to me, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. And finally I went, "Ugh," and I just kind of, acquiesced and just sunk into the chair. And then I came out of it and I'm walking on the street again. Now, mind you, I think I was walking on the street the whole time, but I went into this altered state. I went into the quantum field is really what this is. And I am someone who follows Dr. Joe Dispenza, who, by the way, I was not following at that time, but he has substantiated so many of my experiences, like these type of spiritual experiences that I've had. He calls them something else. It'll come to me. Uh, mystical experiences. That's what it is. He validates so much that I'm like, oh my God, he knows what I'm talking about. Like, yeah. So, but after that, after I was on my walk, I'm like, why was it saying you were safe? You're safe. You're safe. You're safe. And then I asked myself, I'm like, do I see him as safety? Do I see him as security? And I was like, oh my God, I do. So there was a part of my being that felt so unsecure. I don't mean insecure, like I'm insecure, I'm not cute, not that kind of insecure, unsecure in life, that it was an unhealed part of myself. It was a fearful part of myself that felt unsecure, that for some reason my ego had attached onto him as a part of security for me. So for some reason, I saw him as security internally, not here. I wasn't thinking, you're my security, not by any means. So I started to say to myself, all right, and this is where the mind training comes in. This is where we have to do the work, you guys. Because if you get anything from this today, I want you to pick up everything that I'm sharing to you, re-listen to this, write yourself some notes, grab a notepad and paper, because this is the stuff that's going to heal you. Because we've got so much going on in our unconscious that we're not conscious of until we ask the right questions. And somehow that information is going to come to us. And this is how the information came to me. And I said, okay, how am I secure? I'm like, well, I live in this huge house with my parents, mom and stepdad. We each have our own room. There's food galore. My stepdad was Sicilian, so there's constantly frying something, cooking something, eating a turkey neck. I don't know, just doing what he did. Bread everywhere, crumbs. I just remember crumbs living in that house because my mom was a breadie and he was a breadie, and it was just crumbs everywhere. And I'm like, we're so incredibly loved. I'm in a gorgeous area of town. Like, they're never going to let me be homeless or my kids. I'm like, I'm 100% secure. And at that point in time, 80% of my obsession with him dissipated. And I mean dissolved. My nervous system calmed down. Like everything started to calm down for me. And I was like, what the heck? This is what I've been holding on for so long. Now, there was still part of my mind that still thought he was cute, still had fun with him, still wished it was him. But that was just a kind of a thinking part of my brain. It wasn't this weird underlying energy that was keeping me attached to him. So, with that being said, I want to go into the first point of what is it that you think you're getting from this person that you're obsessing over? All right. There is something that you feel like you don't have that you are getting from this person, male or female or anything in between. Okay. There's something that you feel like you're getting. They are standing for something in your life. Maybe they're standing for love. Maybe it's the attention. They're making you feel like you matter, or they did make you feel like you matter. Maybe it's approval. Maybe it's acceptance. Maybe it's physical touch. Like, what is it that this person is representing for you? When you can uncover that, you are going to heal a large portion of what's happening inside of your psyche. Because if you are obsessed, because you wouldn't be watching this if you weren't, or maybe just because you like to be here, um, if you wouldn't be as obsessed with this person if there wasn't something going on. Okay. There's an unhealed part of yourself that you believe they are the key to the lock. But the question is, are they really? Because when I looked at my relationship as him, as he was my security, all right, was he really? Now, keep in mind that one of a woman's greatest values is to feel protected. Okay. That's way, way deep inside of us because we are the physically weaker sex. So we have this desire to be protected. So somehow my brain attached that to him. Now, when I asked myself, is he protecting you? The answer was no. When I asked myself, do you feel safe with him? Physically safe, yes, but feel safe with him in my life? The answer was no. Why? Because he was in and out and all over the place. That's not something you can trust. That's not a place that I could feel safe. So the answer was no. And the other question was, is he security for you? No, same thing. I mean, he lied to me about still being married, right? His words and behavior weren't matching. He's acting like he won the freaking lottery when he met me and then just decides he doesn't want to be in a relationship with me. This is not security. This is anti-security. This is anti-safety. This is anti-protection. And here I was obsessing of him. So the logic of it, and this is where our logical brain is so incredibly helpful when we need to turn things around that we are stuck on. Because anytime I had a belief that was holding me back or keeping me stuck, when I brought logic to that belief, I could no longer believe that belief. It just dissipated. It was like poof, it just went up in a puff of smoke because it was no longer true. What I thought that I was holding on to was no longer true. I believe this to be true, but here's the logic. It's not true. Okay. So um, that was the first thing that I had to do is I had to realize that what he was standing for, I was really not getting from him, that it was a lie, that it was an illusion, and it was keeping me stuck and it was keeping me obsessed. And like I said, a large portion of that went away from me. The second thing that I learned was that I asked myself, what am I learning? What am I supposed to be learning in this situation? And what I learned was that once I set sights on him, I did all my old people pleasing behaviors. Now, at the time, I did not know that that's what it was. I was trying to be everything to him. I was trying to do all the right things. I was trying to over accommodate him. If he said jump, I said how high. I was trying to make things work in this relationship. I was trying to be easy. That was one of my masks that I wore that I didn't know about at the time was easygoing girl. Oh no, I'm not going to be a fuss. I'm not a bitch. I'm just so easy. I was trying to be easygoing girl. Now, what I learned along the way was that energy that I was in is what attracted the person to me that was going to reflect back to me my lack of value of myself. Okay. Because we will attract people to us that are going to mirror back to us how we think about, feel about, and treat ourselves. So even though he came on hard and strong in the beginning, now look back in the beginning. He asked me for my number. I gave it to him, but I left early that night. He asked if he could date me, when he got back from his trip. I said no. I mean, I was in beautiful energy. That was the greatest energy, and that was just I was being authentic to who I was. But when he started to give me that attention and give me those things that I had been missing for so long, and even in that marriage that I had just left, or was released from, really, when he started to give me those things, it was like water to my thirst. And I started to drink the Kool-Aid, and I started to really drink this up. And then I started to do things that a person with a good sense of self-worth wouldn't have done. And I could tell you all the stories about that, but just take my word for it. So I asked myself, what was I supposed to be learning? And I was supposed to be learning that I was not valuing myself. That if someone doesn't want me, why the freak do I want them? And this is something I want you to ask you. You are so beautiful. You are so amazing. You are so unique. You're kind, you're loving, you're gentle. And how do I know you are? Because you're listening to my podcast. Why? Because you're likely a follower on this channel. And why? Because these are the things that I talk about. Because the gentle-hearted, kind-hearted, overgiving, lovers, givers, earth angels of the world are attracted to my channel, because we're the ones who attract those type of people. Why? Because we're doing for everybody else and we're not doing for ourselves. We are leaving ourselves last and we are not valuing ourselves. So we think that we have to get love, approval, acceptance, and attention from the outside world. Okay. We don't yet know that this is an inside job. So here's what happened. Once I started doing this work and I started giving myself this, now, mind you, I did not have a mentor. I did not have a teacher. My healing journey was between me and God. Okay. Therapists and things like that I'd gone to intermittently throughout the years had let me down. Like, I don't know what the deal was with my choices of those, but I think there was one that said one thing once that was really, really great. But for the most part, they did not see behind the scenes about what was happening, especially when I went with my narcissist. And he schmoozed the hell out of her, and she ends up telling me I'm the bad guy. Okay. I just had those type of experiences. And I'm not saying all therapists are like that. And I'm also saying that therapists are human beings and they can be schmoozed by people just as easily. All right. But I didn't have great experience. So this was between me and God. And I opened my heart, I opened my mind, and I meditated all the time. I was reading tons of spiritual literature. I was watching everything and anything that made me feel inspired or feel hopeful. And I was doing the work. I was journaling like crazy. I was feeling my feelings. I was doing all the things. And I started to apply certain concepts to myself, which are the 5 self-love tenets, which I could share with you later. And I started to apply these things to myself. And what happened is I started to heal. So some point along the line, after that little declaration that he had that, he doesn't want to be with me anymore, and he'd been divorced for months at this point, somewhere in the following year, because I don't really know. Hey, Lois, somewhere along that following year, he had reached out to me again. And I was walking in the house. I had my purse and I had all these things on me. And I was walking in the house from work, and my cell phone rang, and I opened it. It was a StarTax. I opened it and I saw it was him, and I just shut it and put it back on my belt because I had a clip on my belt. And as I started to walk, I was like, whoa, what did I just do? Because this is the person I had been obsessing over. And I asked myself, what had changed? What the heck had changed? And what had changed? I asked myself, like, what's different? What's different? I remember just with all my crap coming in from work, I'm standing in the foyer of my mother's house, and I'm like, what just changed? What happened? And I realized what came to my mind is, you know your worth now. So no longer was I even tempted by this. I didn't even want to respond. 6 months, a year ago, or I didn't even know how long, because I have no recollection of time during this time, somewhere between 6 months and a year. Had he messaged me, I would have been like, oh my God, he messaged me. I would have rushed to put my stuff down. I would have thought about what I needed to say to try to, either get him to see me or something. Okay. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I just shut it and put it back. But I realized that I was healing because I did my work. And this is something that I think is so incredibly important for everybody to understand, is that we are all the walking wounded. all of us. And the symptoms of where we're wounded are going to come out in strange things like obsessing over somebody who doesn't want us. That's just a symptom. Okay. There's nothing wrong with you. You didn't do anything wrong. There's no reason. They didn't leave you because you're a jerk or you're not lovable. They left you likely because of it's an energetic mismatch, or they've got their own fears going on, or they've got their own selfishness going on. Who knows? There's a million reasons why this person may not want to be with you. But it doesn't mean, and I'm going to shake my finger at you like my mom. My mom had really long fingers and she'd shake that thing, but it does not mean that you are unworthy of love or that you don't deserve love. And not only that, I want you to keep this in mind that you attracted this person, okay? This person who you thought was great. That shows that you can attract people, okay? This is not that you're unattractive. One more thing, another thing that I want to mention is that when you look back, a lot of times we see them in this dreamy kind of state, this state where we think that this person is just so incredibly amazing. We have our blinders on and we're not really looking at who they are because we're so desperate for the love and attention. And because we're not looking at who they are, we make up in our minds who they are. We have them in this dream arena. Like we think they're dreamy, like Mr. Dreamy. We just think, or Mrs. Dreamy. We think they're so wonderful. But if we take the time to really sit back and ask ourselves, what was there that I was unwilling to see? What was there that I was ignoring? What was I not looking at? What was I not paying attention to? Okay. What I realized that I wasn't paying attention to is this guy traveled a lot. He traveled probably 15 days out of the month. And he had his kids when he was home. And I was not involved with the kids. So I probably got to see him not often. So what I realized is that I was not going to be a priority because I already wasn't one. Even in the woo-woo, yay, exciting times in the beginning, okay? I wasn't going to be a priority. Not only that, he drank a lot. He drank a lot of alcohol. We'd go on trips and he would have a cooler full of beer. I wasn't drinking while he was driving, but he didn't want to pay for the hotel alcohol, so he'd bring his own drink. And like it was that important to have alcohol with him. And I'm not a big drinker. Okay, I didn't really care at that time. That has since changed. I don't want to be with anybody that imbibes in a lot of alcohol, period. But at that time, again, pre-college of Kristen, I wasn't looking at that. There was other things that came up as well. And he was not a very strong person. He didn't have good boundaries with people in his life. And he would cancel things with me because somebody else would guilt him. Okay. So there was a lot of things about him that would not have jived with me. And I had to really get real about that and say, I'm obsessing over somebody who's really not all that I think he is. So many times, if you look back on these people that you're obsessing over, they're probably super cute. They're super sexy. Maybe they're great in bed. Maybe they wined and dined you. Maybe you had great experiences with them. But what's the true character of that person? Now, a lot of times the mind wants to just kind of, push that away. Like, oh, no, 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 but you don't understand. No, I'm asking you. I'm imploring you. I'm inviting you and I'm encouraging you to go within and to ask yourself, what is the true character of that person? Do you see that person being honest in their life? Are they integrous? Do they treat you well? Do they treat others well? Do they have a substance abuse problem? What is it? What is it behind the scenes that this person might have going on that you ignored? Because when you start paying attention to those things, that's also going to shift you. You're also going to see that, guess what? You probably wouldn't have been happy with them long term. But the most important fact is, and this is hard, I don't even like saying these words because it sounds terrible, okay? But please take this with the energy that I'm delivering it. They don't want you. They didn't want me. He didn't want me, okay? Why on earth do we want to be with somebody that doesn't want us? Relationships are challenging enough as they are. And we want to be with someone who's not committed. They got one toe in the game rather than their full body. All right? Relationships are challenging enough when we have the full body in the game. We got a toe in the game. We are setting ourselves, they got a toe. We are setting ourselves up for suffering, for long term suffering. Why? Because we want the short term gratification of that person. We want that hit. We want that approval hit. We want that attention hit. We want that love hit. Okay. And they become our crack. If I can just get one more hit of attention, one more hit of approval, then I'm going to feel okay. And if you've noticed, when you get that little hit of attention or approval, like they do text you back, even though it's something flat and boring, or they say, I'll read that in a second, Lois, or they'll say, something flat and boring, or they smile at you at work, or they hand you a glass of water. You're like, right? And you feel like you get so excited because you've gotten that one little hit of approval. And then sometimes that's just enough to keep us in the game, to keep us obsessed. When am I going to get that another hit of approval? But the problem is that's all they are, is they're little tiny hits. They're not even remotely close to the long-term commitment, that feeling, that connection, that person that wants you. They want your idiosyncrasies. They want your quirks. They want your bad breath in the morning. They want your greasy hair. They want your long toenails. They want you. Okay? But those people cannot find us until we want us, until we put ourselves first. Because when I started to give myself all those things, the 5 self-love tenets I talk about, I naturally and organically started to heal that emptiness inside of me that kept me obsessed. So much so that when my now husband came in, I was just watching this relationship, eating some popcorn. Well, let's see. Do I like him? Do I not like him? Eating my popcorn. There was nothing about me that was like, oh, he called me. Oh, this is great. Oh, I'm so excited. And now, was I excited to see him? Like, if my friend Lois, who's on here right now, if Lois was like, hey, Kristen, you want to go out today? I'm like, yeah. I was excited to see him in that way. Okay. But I didn't have that hunger, that desperation, and that neediness, which also helped me set appropriate boundaries with him when I needed to. Okay. There were boundaries that said, that's not, what is that? That's not okay. Okay. Because those boundaries I would have never set in the past when I was empty inside, when I feel like I needed to get the love, approval, acceptance, and attention from something outside of myself. Okay. So I want to tell this story about someone I know. Well, let me first read Lois's comment. Yep, we are in fairy tale hell or jail when we see only what we want to see and unintentionally idolize people who don't value us. This is the truth, okay? Fairy tale hell or fairy tale jail. That means we are living in this illusion, this dream of what we think this thing is, but it's keeping us stuck because guess what? It's never going to be that. It's never going to be that. Now, I'm going to say with the caveat that you never know that once you heal, this person may now be attracted to the new energy that you are. But is that something to hold on to? No. Okay? Because you are going to heal so much that you may or may not still be attracted to them. Do you get what I'm saying? But if you're like, well, I'm going to go heal, raise my energy so that they're going to come back to me, it doesn't work that way. Okay. There's so many nuances and plays and things that are happening within all of this that once you start to heal yourself, you are just going to organically shift into this beautiful, different, but healed version, or I'm sorry, same, but healed version of yourself. Okay. Now, what I mean by that is you don't become a whole new person, a whole different, completely different personality with your likes and your dislikes and those type of things because you heal. What you do is you become a shinier, polished, empowered version of yourself. That is what you become. And that version knows their worth And that version has glasses off, paying attention and watching. Because you can bet your sweet patootie that I was watching my now husband. And I don't mean it was in a weird way. I'm not saying that. It was just my energy was more of what's he doing? What's he saying? How's he acting? Rather than, okay, come give me attention and love me. Please love me. It wasn't like that. You see what I'm saying? We position ourselves in such a way that we exude worth to another person. Okay, so I want to tell you this little story that there was someone that I know that was really obsessed with this guy at her work. And he dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, checked all the boxes of her look, her like, the personality, everything. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, he's everything." I mean, his height, his size, his clothes he wore, his everything about this guy, the music he listened to, all the things. And this person was really, really obsessed with him. She was like, "Oh my gosh, just love this guy." But as she got to know him, she realized he had a drug problem. As wonderful as he was, he had a drug problem and he drank a lot. And she would just sit there like she didn't know what to do with herself because that's not okay. But she loved herself to know that that's not okay, but maybe this person will heal. Maybe this person is going to change and they're going to get their act together. Okay. But meanwhile, she's obsessing over this person and he did not appear to be the same way back to her. But over time, she started to see who he really was. And again, all the other things were there. The looks, the dress, the body shape, all the things, we have our types that we like. All the gentle personality, the funny sense of humor, all the things were there, but there was that. And each time that we talked about it, she just kind of moved herself further and further away from it because it was a very exciting thing for her to like this person. She hadn't dated somebody in quite some time and she was finally interested in somebody. So she was really excited, but yet and it was, I wouldn't say it was obsessive, but it was something that she talked about a lot. But she started to see this isn't going to work for me. And then there was something else that came up that it slipped my mind. Another thing that happened, and then finally at one point she said, "Yeah, I'm over that. Still think he's cute, but that's not the guy for me." Because along the way, she started to heal. She started to take care of herself. And not only did her obsession with him, but she had been kind of really hot and heavy and wanting to get into a relationship. And she said, I really don't care anymore. And you have to know that as a coach, that is something, this is a young person, that is something that is so important because yeah, you'd like it, but you don't have to have it to make your life happy. You couldn't be better positioned in your life to look to be available for a relationship because that means you're not desperate. It means you're not needy. It means you've done the work. And that's exactly how I felt after I did the work with after my Tsunami X, when I did my College of Kristen. Okay. So let me move on and see what else have I not talked about. I think I pretty much covered everything. So what I want to wrap this up, amen, that's the truth. Thank you, Lois. So what I want to wrap this up with is just to let you guys know that just because one person doesn't want you, or maybe 5 or 10, that doesn't mean that you are not worthy. And it's so easy as human beings to take the reality, because people love to throw reality at me. They'll be like, "Well, the reality is they didn't want me though, so no one wants me." Okay, no, that's not the reality. Just those people didn't want you for whatever reason. We don't even know. Here's something else that might be interesting to you all. A lot of times, I remember the other thing I wanted to say about that guy. At some point, that girl said to me about the coworker, she said, "There's this part of me that just wants to help him, just wants to fix him. Like, I feel like I could really help him." And I went, about to say something, and the next word she said was, "But I know I can't do that." Do you know how many mofos I've tried to heal? Do you know how many people I've tried to help, men-wise, relationship-wise? Do you know how many hours that I've sat and tried to get someone to see the light? But people aren't gonna see the light until they're ready in their own divine timing. They've got to be in the space, and a lot of times, it's when the pain of staying the same outweighs the fear of the unknown / the fear of change. Because people as human beings, we want to stay safe. We want to stay in our same little thing all the time. We want to know what to expect. Okay, we want to be safe all the time. So we keep doing the same things over and over and over again. But at some point, we're going to crash and burn like I did with my tsunami. And we're going to be like, all right, there's got to be something different. Okay. But here we are trying to insert ourselves into male or female's life, because I know males that try to do this with females too. This is why I talk to both genders all the time. Okay. Because a lot of males are trying to fix women too, or trying to help women. Okay. The damsel in distress. Okay. So we're wanting to do this because we know some things. And we know that if they could fix or change or heal a few things, that they would be a better version of themselves. But yet they don't want to. So a lot of times we personalize that. We're like, oh, they don't want me. I'm not good enough. If I was good enough, if they loved me enough, they would change. Nope. This is human design. We are designed that way. Okay. So it's not that. It's whatever they have coming from their past. It's their programming, everything that is coming from their past. And sometimes it's not enough to lose you based on their noggin, their programming. Okay, whatever they got going on, whatever beliefs they have, well, I'll just find somebody else or whatever. Maybe they are not empathetic beings. Maybe they never completely fell in love with you because they're incapable of falling in love with somebody. There's a lot of nuances here. Okay. And we think we can help that. No, we can't. If someone doesn't want you, let them go. There is someone bigger, better, brighter, more beautiful, and more perfectly suited for you than that person. And that is God, universe, source's promise. Okay. We can always have better. One thing that I learned that I used back in the day that I heard this was kind of a law of attraction phrase that I still use to this day with other things. And that was this person. Okay, God, I either want this person. In my book, The Recovering People Pleaser, I called him Jacob. Okay. I said this person or someone better. That's what I kept saying because I did have faith. I do have faith in the universe. I do know how energy works. I do know about the quantum field. I do know the universe is abundant. And I do know the God source universe wants us to win. So I'd say, okay, this guy or someone better. Because this is a tricky one for people. When I say this to people in coaching sessions and stuff, I'll say, what if there is something better out there? You still want that one? Or do you want something better? But their brain is so transfixed on this person. They're like, and I'm like, something better. Okay. This is universe's promise. There is always better for us out in the world. Always. It's waiting in escrow for us until we make ourselves worthy enough and we align to it. Okay. This is how I explain it to people. Our lack of self-worth is like holding a lead umbrella over our head. The universe is abundant. It's all there. Everything that we want, everything that we could ever desire is right there. It's right there. But we're holding the lead umbrella because we don't think we're worthy of it. So we become our own worst enemies. We keep ourselves stuck. And we do it innocently. I need you to understand this. I don't want you to go, oh my God, I've been keeping myself stuck. I suck. I'm awful. I can't believe I'm being. No, this isn't about that. This is about awareness and going, holy crap, I've been keeping myself stuck. Light bulb. I don't want to do that anymore. We can't beat ourselves up along this journey, y'all. It doesn't do any good for anybody. Okay, you're not helping yourself. The more you beat yourself up, guess what you're doing? You're piling into your unworthiness. Okay? You need to get all that unworthiness out and start piling into your worthiness cup. So the more that you hold yourself hostage to your past mistakes or foibles or bad decisions, whatever the things that you have done or times that you have obsessed over somebody, soothe yourself and let yourself know that you are human and this is what humans do. Okay? The brain is designed in such a way to lead us into certain behaviors. That is why when we heal the mind, it's going to lead us into other behaviors. And this is why we do the work. And this is why I wrote my book, The Recovering People pleaser. I hold it low because when I hold it up, it somehow blocks the light. Okay. You can find this book on Amazon. You can find it's actually in 40,000 book sites, book selling sites. Can you believe that? 40,000. But the easiest place is on Amazon, and I'll type the URL into here. It's go.ht/book. That's the Amazon quick URL that my dear friend gave me. Okay. In this book, I talk about everything I did on the healing journey. All right. The Recovering People Pleaser is the name of it. It could be your self-healing guide. You can name it anything you want because all the practices that I did that I still utilize to this day because they are the things that work are in this book. And I wrote this with so much love in my heart. Lois was there. My friend Lois, who's listening right now from Vegas. Lois was not with me in my room writing, but she has been with me through that whole process, and she can tell you that I put so much love into this book, and she has read it, and it is my personality. Lois said, I say something similar. They will change when the acid of their pain wears down the walls of their denial. Damn, that's powerful. When the acid of their pain wears down the walls of their denial. You are my sister. Yes, we are. You are the therapist that I needed when I was in my youth and seeking. Me too. It's a wonderful book. I have it digital and in print. Thank you, Loisy. Lois is my sister. All right, you guys. So there's one more thing that I want to invite you to. Over on my website, I have a freebie, and it's called 5 Supreme Energy Shifters to Attract Real Love. You can go to my website, kristenbrown.org. In fact, I'll start typing some stuff in here, and you can get that. Well, do I have to do the HTTPS on here? I don't know. I'll do it anyway. www.kristenbrown.org/resources. If you go over to kristenbrown.org/resources, I had something really salty today, so I feel like I can't talk. I didn't mean to have it. But if you go down over there, you're going to find 5 supreme energy shifters, energy upgraders to attract real love. Go ahead and download that and read through that PDF. It's not super long. I try to keep things succinct and very digestible. In fact, my book was written that way too. Many people say they're like, it's such a simple book, but it's so easy to read and so easy to digest. And what's interesting about that is that some point along my line of doing what I do, I wanted to make things very easy for people because when I first started my Facebook coaching page, I took quotes of other people like Debbie Ford or whoever else, and I put their quote up, and then I put a little, not the dash, but the little squirrely thing that goes like this. And then I would put my interpretation of that quote. And so many people said to me, thank you so much for that, because sometimes I don't understand what people are saying. This book is digestible. Okay. It's super, super easy to read. It's in my voice. It tells all my embarrassing stories, as my friend Ron said to me. And, you get the real version of what I did. So if you go over to kristenbrown.org/resources, there's probably 6 now. I'll read them to you. I've got the Say No with Confidence, 25 ways to politely decline without guilt. I give you 25 pre-scripted statements. So when you are trying to set a boundary with somebody, that you can politely decline, and you know that these are rooted in love of you and of them, so that you are not doing anything wrong when you reply back with one of these statements. And I have a self-love checklist. This is brand new. I love this thing. And you can go to kristenbrown.org/checklist if you want this one. And what this is I wrote down the self-love tenets, and I put a description of each of them. It's a really cute PDF. I'm just going to tell you. I designed it myself. It's really cute. And I gave you a weekly checklist. So you could write down, the self-love tenets are there, and there's descriptions of them. So if you really want to know what they mean, and you can put a little check mark in each box to make sure that you are giving yourself your self-love. And I will tell you something. This will make you so aware of what you're not doing, because let's say one of the tenets is self-forgiveness. And you look, and all week long, you're like, I have not forgiven myself this week. Okay. What did I do this week that I feel like I made a mistake? And you take the time and you sit down and you give yourself that unconditional love and forgiveness. Okay. That is going to heal your energy. I can't make this stuff up, you guys. This is universal law. We are giving ourselves unconditional love, which is the antidote to our desperation, our neediness, our lack of confidence, and our self worth. This is how we fill our worthiness cup. And when we fill our worthiness cup, what happens is that we're no longer starving. We're no longer obsessing over people. We're no longer chasing somebody that doesn't want us because we think we are getting something from that person because we're giving that to ourselves. A partner becomes a cherry on top of, of our already wonderful and happy life. Okay. I no longer wanted to I didn't want to be in any more lopsided and painful relationships. I'd had enough. I had had a complete enough with that and I was over it. Nor did I want to get my heart broken again. So I did the work. I didn't know what I was doing. Okay. The College of Kristen was about 2 years long. And I only say 2 years long because I didn't start dating for about 2 years, but really it was a solid year of when I was doing the things. But I got so comfortable and happy within myself. I didn't give a hoot whether I was dating. I didn't give a hoot whether I'd have another partner again. Now, being someone who loves partnering, I'm kind of like a kitten. I love partnering. Okay. I love cuddling. I love a partner. I love doing stuff with someone. That's just my makeup. All right. But I wasn't desperate for it. It was if this came into my life, it was going to be the right guy. It was going to be a guy that loved, adored, cherished me, and respected me. And even still, just so y'all know, that doesn't mean you're going to have a perfect relationship. Our relationship is not perfect. It's pretty darn close these days, but we still had to put work and effort into it. However, I attracted someone who, guess what? Wants me. All right. Because I was being me. I was not hiding anything about myself. So I organically attracted somebody who wanted the whole of me, who loves all of my idiosyncrasies. You should have seen me this morning. I don't think I had washed my hair for 4 days. Okay. Because I do a lot of work from home and we're not really going out on the weekend or whatever. So I hiked this morning. So I had like 4 days of yuck. Plus I sweated with a hat on. I took my hat off. And, my hair was disgusting. It was plastered. It's gross. And I've no makeup on. I'm walking up the stairs. My husband walking. We have like stairs that go up and stairs that go down, like right next to each other. And I go, how about that, honey? What do you think of that? And he goes, you're so cute. And he reaches up to the stairs and pulls me down for a kiss. I look like shit. Okay. This is not about our physical looks. Yes, we're attracted to people via physical looks. He's handsome as hell. Lois can tell you. Okay. He's a cutie. But we are attracted physically to people from looks. That's like the first thing. But what people fall in love with is who we are. And when they love us in that type of way, they could give a crap that our hair is plastered to our head, or we have bad breath in the morning, or we gain some pounds or lose some pounds. Okay. They love us. And I want you to know that your person is out there. And the reason why I'm teaching this is because I spent decades in lopsided relationships, decades. And I kept trying and I was doing all the things and was, I was healing along the way. It's really fascinating though, because I wasn't a huge doormat the whole time. Like I could see myself healing along the way, but the core of it, the whole massive Mac Daddy of it that I teach now to people happened after my Tsunami X and I was 42. So let me tell you something. When young ones contact me and they're like, I need your help, I am so happy. And I always tell them this. I always say, you know what? You are healing something that took me decades to figure out, and you're doing it in your 20s. And I'm so proud of you. But this does not mean that you can't do it in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, or your 60s, or your 70s. Okay. You're not done. You're not kaput unless you say you are. All right. I am on a healing journey. I am still healing parts of myself. Every once in a while, things still do come up for me. But I will tell you one thing that I know for sure, and that is my worthiness as a human being. I know my worth. Do I still need to set boundaries with people? Yes. Do I still have moments of self-doubt, lack of confidence? Yes. Do I still have good days and bad days? Yes. All those things are part of being human. But do I know innately my worth now? Yes. And I attract people to me who reflect that back to me. And that is what I'm most grateful for in this juncture of my life. But I'm here to help people to cut the learning curve. When I tell you that this book is going to cut your learning curve, I know that sounds ridiculous and trite, and probably everybody says that about their books. It's going to cut your MF or learning curve. I'm telling you right now. It's going to, because this is what works. Okay. Because we reset our energetic foundation. And once that energetic foundation is reset, number one, all those people that you obsessed about are going to go away because they're not going to matter anymore. You got your worth so full. And I do this all the time, you guys, because I always imagine that I have a cup right here. Like that's my worthiness cup. And it's like a red tumbler. It's just how my mind's eye saw it. It's a tumbler. It's open at the top, but it has a bottom that will swing down. And the bottom of that cup is off when we are desperate, needy, obsessing, all those things. And we're just desperately wanting someone to fill this worthiness cup. But the problem is anything from the outside goes in through the top and out through the bottom, in through the top and out through the bottom. Okay. Like I said, it's like an addiction. We need more, we need more, we need more, we need more. It's bottomless. It's insatiable. My first book, From Doormat to Sweet Empowerment, I called it an insatiable beast. All right. It's an insatiable beast that we are trying to fill. We cannot fill it with the love, approval, acceptance, attentions from the outside world. We can't. It's an inside job. And this is the one biggest mind shift. If you make that shift, that I cannot get this from other people. I can't, it doesn't come from other people. They are not the cure. They are not the antidote. When you make that shift in your head, that is probably going to be one of the biggest shifts you ever make, because you are going to stop looking at that, not looking for that, but also when you notice yourself doing it, you're going to be like, they're not my cure. They're not my cure. They're not my cure. Okay. Feels so good when someone gives us attention and gives us compliments and touches us or wants us sexually. Let me just going to go here for a minute. So often for women, when a guy is attracted to us sexually, we're like, oh, yay. Like we think, oh, he wants us. He wants a baby with me. He wants to make a family with me. He wants to marry me. He wants to this and that and the other. No. Guys are pre-wired to procreate. They're pre-wired to have sex. We all know this. He thinks you're attractive, but that's all for now. Okay. He had sex with you because he thinks you're attractive on the first date, right? Or the second date or the third date or whatever, because he thinks you're attractive. Has he fallen in love with you yet? Has he committed to you? No. Right now, it's just sex, but we bond via that sex. We release oxytocin, which makes us bond to the guy. Now we're all, to this guy. And he's like, yeah, I just had sex with you. You cannot look at a man's thinking the way we think. It's one of the biggest mistakes you're ever going to make. Men are not women. Now we are the same on the human level, that we are all wounded. Okay. We're the walking wounded. And do not ever call yourself broken. In fact, that's on my list of making a video about. We don't do broken on this channel. Someone else wants to say that, that's fine, but I don't do broken. I say wounded, and wounds heal. Wounds can heal, but we have to be willing to look at the wound, recognize the wound, and apply the right cure to the wound. Okay. So if you have, let's say you have a hurt knee and you're taking diabetic medication, not doing it, right? It's not going to do a thing. You've got an earache and you wrapped your knee in an ace bandage. Not going to do it. You have to apply what works. And what works is what I talk about in this book. All of it. All of it. It's a truth-telling book, but it's also raw and real and beautiful because I share all of my goodies. And the reason why I'm able to share those goodies is because I do not feel shame about them anymore. I would just be like, oh yeah, I did that. Oh God, I did that. It's like, I used to have shame about those things, but I healed all that. And I look back and I'm like, that was the version of me who didn't know she mattered. That was a version of me that thought I needed to get love from other people. That was the version of me that thought something was wrong with me. It was a version of me that thought I had to be something other than who I am, that I had to make up something in my head and be something for somebody else in order for them to like me. And once again, this is all unconscious. We're not rocking around going, let me see, this person wants intellectual girl, so I'm going to wear a suit today. We don't consciously do that. It's just what we do, and it's unconscious. It's just the pattern that we follow. And the fact that if you are obsessing over somebody All of that is saying, like I said earlier, all that is a symptom. It's a symptom of where you are unhealed, where you feel like you're not worthy, that you feel like that was your last chance. And that's a biggie. That's a biggie. And that was something that I had to undo inside of myself as well, because with that guy that I call Jacob, there was a part of me that thought he was my last chance. I did. Like, I unconsciously thought he was my last chance. But when I got quiet and I asked myself, what the fuck am I thinking? What am I thinking? What am I believing? One of it was, that was your last chance at love. I was like, okay, is that true? I'm 42. Is that my last, or it might have been, how old was I at that time? Because it was, no, it was about 42, 43, 42. I was like, that's my last chance at love? That's kind of dumb. Remember I talked about logic in the beginning of this? We got to bring logic to these situations. He wasn't my last chance at love. By far, he wasn't my last chance at love. Okay? Your person that you might be obsessing over right now, they're not your last chance at love. Please don't believe that. You're telling yourself, your ego is telling you a lie. Okay? Your God self is saying, oh no, sister, brother, you're so amazing. You're so beautiful. You're so wonderful. There's this amazing person out there for you. But you got to believe the faith. You got to have faith. You got to have hope. Okay? A lot of people don't. Oh, some people, I'm seeing something happening on the side of my screen here. My screen's kind of small. Someone's sending up some little hearts. Thank you, guys. All right, so I'm going to type down here, get the book at go.ht/book. That is the quickie link if you want to go get the Recovering People Pleaser, a spiritual guide to reclaiming your, I'm terrible, it's always backwards. Claim your true worth and attract the love you deserve. Okay, Shell Bell. Oh my gosh, I love it when people dip in from the UK. I'm not even going to try to pronounce Leicester. Just Shell, since you're here, I just want you to know that one of my dreams is to spend about 6 months in the UK. I don't know, some little small town, and it can rain on me as much as it wants because I'm in Arizona and I love the rain. But that is something that I would really, really love to do. So anytime my UK peeps come on here, I just have to tell you because we could meet in person someday. All right, you guys. Well, that's really all I got. Does anybody have any questions? All right. I just wanted to fill your heart. I wanted to fill your mind. I wanted to give you some perception shifts because I know without a doubt, hands down, that if you want to change something in your life, you've got to shift your perception. When I shifted my perception from Jacob being my security, right? That was a shift in perception. 80% of my obsession went away. 80 freaking percent. Okay. And do I think about him from time to time still? Yeah, I'm a curious mofo. Ooh, I wanted to tell you one last thing. There was some point along this time, again, remember this was all very foggy area of my life for me because my nervous system was activated. I was in fight, flight, and freeze during that time. And survival mode. I just don't remember time frames. But this was probably a year, maybe, after he said that he didn't want to be with, or no, that he said that, yeah, he got his divorce and he didn't want to be with me. It was probably about a year later. And at some point, we ended up in a texting conversation and we decided to go meet for coffee. And I said, kind of like a closure thing. This is when I thought, here's what's funny is that closure, I got my thoughts about closure. A lot of times what people think closure is really, anyway, I won't get into all that, but I will say it was kind of a closure thing. So we met for coffee and I looked at him. He was 6'3", by the way. I'm 5'2". And I looked at him when he first walked in and I was like, wow, there he is standing right in front of me. This person that I had obsessed over. So we sit down to have coffee and we had an hour. It was like from 10:30 to 11:30. I was sitting with him for probably 30 minutes. And I was like, oh my God. What was I thinking? He sat back in his chair with his legs crossed, and he was, dangling his leg, and he did it again. He said something like, you were the best. You were so amazing. Your toes. He loved my toes, and he's like, and I had little, you know, open-toed shoes. Like, your toes are so cute, and you did any of this and that. And I'm like, okay, and are you dating somebody now? He's like, oh yeah, I'm dating somebody. I mean, I'm just sitting here, but I was so quiet because I told you I'd done my healing work. I was so quiet in my head. I was watching him, and I was thinking the arrogance. The freaking arrogance. Like, I saw him through a entirely different lens. Remember I said that we had an hour together? It was probably 30, maybe 40 minutes in, but probably 40 minutes in, when I go, "Oh, you know what? I gotta go." And he was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I'm like, "Well, I gotta go. I got something I gotta do." And he was like, "Well, I have until 11:30." I'm like, "But I don't." "Well, I'll walk you to your car." "Oh, okay." So he walks me to my car, and I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I remember thinking, "I can't get away from you." And he gives me a hug and he goes, "We need to do this again." And I went, "Yep." And I jumped in my mom van and I left. Why? Because from a healed perspective, I saw that he was not who I thought he was. I was an empty cup, wanting the attention, wanting the approval, wanting to feel like I matter. But after I'd healed myself, he looked completely different to me. He was still cute. He was still sexy. He still looked amazing. He was a runner. He had gorgeous legs. He was all those things. And no. Okay. Chabelle, come dance in the rain with me. She's 43 and finding herself again. Yes, Chabelle. And you're going to do it, by the way, sister. This is not an option. You're going to do it. I have no question whatsoever because you said I'm finding myself again. That's a declaration. I am finding myself. And I call it returning back to ourselves. Because what happens is that as we grow, we start to take in we're whole and perfect when we come here. We know nothing other than our divinity. That's it. We're whole and perfect. But then as we grow and our brainwave starts to increase and we start to become more aware of the outside world, and then we have messages that we receive, okay, filtered through now the ego that's forming that tells us we're bad and wrong and terrible and we need to hide that part of ourselves and do this. Plus add on some trauma because guess what? Everybody's traumatized. Everybody, somehow, some way. I heard trauma defined by a woman one time, and she said this, and I wish I could find it to get the full definition, but she said this part, and I said, that's it. She said, trauma is anything that rocks your world. Okay. It could be the death of a pet. It could be a broken arm. It could be an abandonment of a parent. Now, some traumas might do worse to us than others do. Okay. But it's still trauma. Anything that rocks our world, we've all had it. So you filter in all of that stuff and we start to fracture away from who we are, from knowing who we are. And this is my favorite point. I hope you guys appreciate this. All right. My favorite point is this, and this makes me feel so normal and so human and so okay and so good. And I hope it gives you the same feeling. All right. This is the spiritual journey. Everything that we're going through, we're here to learn. We're a soul that entered into an earth suit. Okay, we got this soul in here, but now we got this brain and we got this body and we've got these nerve endings in this nervous system and we have a heart and we have emotions. Okay, now we're the soul in a body. So why did we come here? We came here to learn. We came here to grow our soul. So the journey is we come here whole and perfect. We fracture away from ourselves, and the journey is, guess what? Returning back to ourselves. And we're all doing it. Go look in your life. Look at everybody in your life. You're going to see people that fractured away, and some are returning back and some are staying stuck. Okay, Natalie, thank you. And Shellbell said, amen. Yes, Natalie, hi. Thanks, everybody who's here. If anybody else is here and wants to say hi over in the chat, I would super appreciate it because I love community and I love my followers and I love people that hang out with me. And I just wish we had a forum where we could all like talk together, which I have been thinking about that, you all. This has been on my mind for so long. I even have the artwork for it. Okay. I want to start a group that's called Self-Healing Superstars. Okay. I want to call it Self-Healing Badasses. I want to call Self-Healing Warriors. These are the things. Would you guys write down which one you like? Do you like Self-Healing Superstars, Badass, or Warrior? Which one do you like? Okay, write that down in the chat. I think there's a delay, so I'll wait here for a second, but write down which one you like because I like them all. And I also like Seekers, but Self-Healing Seekers doesn't I don't think that really rolls. Oh, you just came across me tonight, Shell Bell. That's awesome. Oh, girl, it is definitely you attracted this. Nothing in our life is by happenstance, right? There's no coincidences. You are supposed to be here. And I appreciate you. And I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. But what do you guys like? Do you like self-healing badasses, superstars, or warriors? Because I am starting a group, like I said. And this group is going to be something where we have some type of healing thing that we, like I give a little teaching for probably 20 minutes of the hour, and then we talk. Okay. Because when we are healing, we need a platform, a community with like minds doing the same thing. And we don't feel judged. We feel so fucking supported. I cannot express that more. We feel so supported and safe because many of us do not have that in our personal lives. And this is badass soul seeker. I love that. I love that. Oh, she got a humor, this one. I like humor. Just saying. But it's really important that we have a community that we feel safe in because much of I felt safe discussing certain things with people, but they didn't really get it. They had not done their own work, so they didn't really get it. So I sounded like a madman. I was just like, oh my God, and the things I would talk about, and they'd be like, okay, so are we going to Starbucks? It was like people didn't really get where I was at. So when you're in a community of people doing the same things, you can amplify your growth exponentially because it's not only your own work that you're doing, but you're going to hear the questions and things that are coming out of other people. And you're going to be like, well, yeah, that. Oh my God, I've done that too. And here's what's even more fun. There's going to be some things that you've had experiences from and you have experience that you now have wisdom from. And wisdom is experiences healed. Okay, that's what wisdom is. And you're going to be able to impart some wisdom to people too. So it becomes this really beautiful community. So if you think about this, we are healing our worthiness. Okay, we are healing our addiction to love, approval, and acceptance from the outside world, if you will. Okay. And we're healing that addiction. So if you think of us as a recovery group, that's why I called it the recovering people pleaser. Okay. Because we are recovering. I'm not completely there. I've done a hell of a job. I'm pretty solid in my things these days. Yet, am I 100%? No. Somebody wanted me to title my book The Recovered People Pleaser. And I thought about it for a long time because she said, think of it as in the means of being recovered. Like you want to be recovered in some particular thing. She believes in full recovery in things. And I thought about this and I'm like, I'm 12 years into this journey and I'm not fully recovered. I'm not. I would still say I'm recovering. Do I set and maintain healthy boundaries? Yes. Do I question when I got to set a boundary? Yeah. Do sometimes my knees shake a little bit? Not literally. Yeah. Do I have to be careful about how I form things? Yes. Do sometimes I have to, I'm going to say push myself. That's not the right word, to set the boundary or to speak up yep. Recently I had something that came across my life where I was not appreciating something that someone was doing and I needed to speak up. And part of me was going, just let it pass. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't need it. Don't bring that up. And I was like, that's old Kristen. That's disempowered Kristen. That was doormat Kristen. That was Kristen that didn't value herself. And I made a freaking vow to little Kristen. And I made this vow. And I said, first of all, I apologized to her for all that I put her through. And I said, never again will I subject you to any behavior that is not respectful or kind, ever. And even though, for the most part, I do speak about there's, just some people I just didn't really want to, ruffle the waters with, or, I didn't know them that well or something. I just kind of made excuses for things. And I was like, nope, I made a vow to little Kristen. Would I allow one of my children to be treated that way? No. Would I speak up? Yes. And if that's the answer, or a loved one, a girlfriend, a sister, whoever, a brother, a male friend, I would do the same for anybody that I love in my life. So why am I doing it for me? Because that old fear, that a little, another little shaving of that fear of not being liked, or that fear of upsetting somebody, or that fear of somebody talking behind my back. All those fears came up for me again. So am I recovered 100%? No. Recover would just mean you're doing this. Here's the answer. No. Shoot off the text. I had to think about it. I had to talk about it. I had to think about, how I was going to say things. Okay. But am I, and I'll tell you this, that a lot, I heard Gabby Bernstein say this once, and I like that she said this because it was my experience too. And I was like, yes, that was very validating to my experience. She goes, it's not that things don't still come up for me. It's not that I'm still not second guessing myself or what have you. I'm paraphrasing, all right, y'all? I'm not quoting Gabrielle Bernstein. Something to this effect. And she said, it's that I get through it faster. That's it. Okay. These things will come up for us. A lot of times people think we're going to be healed. You're done. You're healed. No. Okay. It's a slow unraveling. It's a slow peeling away. Okay. But I am way more equipped. Like things happened so much faster than they would in the past. Well, first of all, in the past, they would have never happened. I can't tell you how many friendships I've had where someone has done something shitty to me and I never said a word. Even hit on my husband and I didn't say a word. Oh, they were just drinking. Oh, but she's my best friend. She didn't mean it. Oh, all of the excuses that I would make. And then say, well, I'm just compassionate and understanding and I'm really forgiving. No, girlfriend, you're a doormat. I remember when I told one of my girlfriends, and this was years later after the occurrence, something that had happened to me, or something that this is my one girlfriend. This other girlfriend years before had done something crappy regarding my husband. When I told this girlfriend this story, okay, she just looked at me. She goes, what? She's like, I would have, and tells me all these things. And I just sat there staring at her. I was like, she's like, you didn't do any of that? I go, nope. Didn't say a word. She was like, Kristen, I'm like, I know. That's who I was. No, I'm an author, 2-time author, international #1 best-selling author, a podcast host, YouTube person doing my YouTube-y stuff. And, all of these things because I did my work. And I want you guys to do your work. You're there. First of all, if you're even listening to this, you're on your way. Okay? I cannot tell you the amount of things I've listened to. If you could see my bookshelf, and I threw half of them away, all right? Actually, you can see my bookshelf. It's on one of my if you go under my podcast tab, if you scroll down, I talk about my favorite books, and the thumbnail is an image of my bookshelf, and I've thrown half the books away or given them away. I don't throw books away. In fact, I have to love them and hug them and kiss them before I give them goodbye, before I give them away. But they mean something to me. That shelf is my healing. Okay, that's what that is. That's why I keep it, because I looked at them the other day and I said, "Do I need all those books still?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's homage to the work I did." The 5 journals that I had, those 5, what are they called? 5-star notebooks. And they've got like a bunch of sections in them. I had like 5 of those when I moved out of my mom's house. And I kept them and I looked at them and I said, "Do I need these?" And I opened up randomly one and I read and I went, "Oh." I didn't even want to look at the energy of the space that I used to be in. I was like, I will never read these again. Why would I read these again? That was a negative, dark, dense space of so much pain, so much fear, so much sadness, so much depression, so much anxiety. And I took the whole lot of them. There, my name wasn't in them, and I just dumped them into the bin. Done. I was like, that's over. Okay. Onward, upward, onward, upward. But this whole thing started by reading a book, by watching inspirational videos. Now, by the way, I didn't watch YouTube videos. I didn't watch things about recovering from this and that. Narcissist wasn't even my vocabulary, right? I just said people that treat you disrespectfully and dishonorably. That's how I worded it. Um, I wasn't Googling that stuff. It wasn't around 12 years ago. All right. YouTube wasn't big like it is now. I didn't know anything about coaches and mentors. Like, I didn't know where you found these people. I thought, you just read a blog somewhere, right? This was a lot of my work was spiritual. And I just read and I didn't call it praying at the time. I just talked to God 24/7, 365 and just said, help me, guide me, show me, help me, guide me, show me. And then I get these random things that would come into my head that were questions. And I would answer the questions. You guys are going to read about all this in here. You probably hear it all over my channel too. So does anybody have any questions? Because I feel like at this point, I like talking. So I'm talking to you because I love that you're here. So does anybody have any questions or anything else that you want me to discuss? Because this started out on how to stop obsessing. And I do want to close this off with saying that I understand the pain of obsessing. I know, but I also know it's because you think some limiting beliefs that are just not true. And you have some unhealed wounds inside of you that is promoting that behavior. And that obsessing that you're doing or that chasing that you're doing is simply because you think that you have to get that love outside of yourself. It is quite literally just a symptom of where you need to heal. Okay, just like people pleasing, it's a symptom. And believe it or not, you guys ready for this one? Narcissistic type people, I call them NTPs. Okay, because I don't want to call everybody a narcissist because there's a spectrum of it. But NTPs, their behavior is a symptom of their healing, the healing that they require. I'm sorry, it's a symptom of their wounds that require healing. Okay? Any behavior that we have in life that we don't like, that is not from our highest self, from our optimal person, all it is a symptom of healing that is required. And when you do that healing work, you're going to look at yourself and you're going to be like, holy moly, I can't believe that this was available to me all along. Okay. Just saying it's important to smile and feel safe. I was single for 10 years before getting into a relationship that was unhealthy. I lost myself trying to help somebody else find. No, healing is a lifetime experience. Yeah. Girlfriend, yeah, I've tried to fix. And here's the thing, you guys I want to read this to you. All right. Tell me if you relate. This is the very first paragraph of my book. I want you to hear this. Most people go, holy moly. I see you, soul sibling. You are kind, loving, and loyal. You are an earth angel, a lover, and a giver. You're intelligent and successful in most areas of your life, with the exception of romantic and/or personal relationships. It hurts you to watch people hurt, and you do anything to never hurt another person. Your greatest desire is to love and to be loved. You're likely the listening ear everyone calls for help, and you are willing to drop what you're doing when someone needs you. If you investigate deeper, you may have been a rescuer in some, if not all, of your relationships. You're likely empathic, and there's a good chance you're a highly sensitive person. You feel others' pain and are quick to form deep connections. Does that relate to you? That's who we are. We're the lovers, the givers, the earth angels. We're the people that want to help other people heal. And we are this way organically. Okay. That is who we are. That's what we do. We love to love. We love to help. We love to heal. And we do it at the expense of our own well-being because way deep inside, it is, yes, we like to do it, but we're also getting a payback for it. Okay. And what we need to realize, instead of being way over here in people pleasing and the people who are way over here in narcissism, let me get these I can't do, there we go. Okay. We need to come right smack to the center where we tend to the needs of other people as equally as we tend to the needs of self. This is called interdependence, and this is the healthiest position that we can be in. Okay, Shell Belseld, Earth Angel, beautiful, but our love is lost for ourselves and helping others. Yeah, you know. And here's the thing: what I learned along my journey to Pisces here, where people pleaser. What I've learned too is that I was helping people at the expense of my own well-being, which means that I was hurting me while I was trying to help somebody else, which means they were not even getting the absolute best version of myself. Okay. So it's that whole oxygen mask thing. We got to put our mask on. We got to heal ourselves first. And when we do that, we are going to show up a bigger, brighter, stronger, faster, more amazing human being than we even were before because we are tending to our own needs. This is something that is hard to explain via words. This is something that until you experience it, you won't understand it fully. And you might if you've already started your healing journey because you're going to start to feel it already. It creeps in. It doesn't take long. You start forgiving, loving yourself, you are going to be amazed at how fast your healing is. Okay. And here's the most exciting part. Once you start to heal, you want more of it. And I don't mean this in a way that it becomes your addiction. Okay, like the people pleasing was or the obsessing was or all those type of things. What I mean is that you're like, more of this. It's like you're finally getting oxygen. And you're like, more and more and more. Because I started to heal a little bit of myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I can feel this good, can I feel even better? And I do more healing. And I was like, wow, can I feel even better? And I'd do more healing. Can I feel even better? And I'd do even more healing. And it was like, it just kept going. It just kept growing because it felt so good. It's so grounded. It's so solid. And once again, it's not a destination, it's a journey. And giving ourselves grace along the way is the way to heal. All right, you guys, I love you. I love that you're here. I love that you spent all this time with me. Well, I've been on an hour and a half. It started out about obsessing, and for anybody that watches this on the replay, it's all great information. But what I really want you to walk away with is that you deserve more than the scraps of somebody else. And you're chasing somebody because you're unconsciously wounded. You're wounded and you're unconscious, and you think they are your source of something. Okay? They're not your source. You are your source, and source is your source. And when you start giving to yourself those things, then you are going to heal, and that obsession is going to dissolve. And you've got everything you have to heal. Oh my God, I was just about to say it becomes a new addiction, sister. Blessings sent out to you, sweetheart. Thanks for the reminder. It can become a new addiction, but it's a positive one. Okay. It's not like I have to do it or I'm going to die. It's not like that type of addiction, but it is kind of an addiction, right? But not in the way that, like it's not superficial short-term gratification like shopping or sex addictions or drinking alcohol or whatever it is. It's not a short-term gratification. It's this beautiful long-term thing. But when you have it, you're going to want more of it. It's kind of like, let's say you find a food that really makes your body feel good. You're like, okay, I quit eating gluten at some point. Oh God, I felt great. But then I started eating gluten a little bit more. I was like, I want to feel good. So I quit eating gluten again. Like, and there's times I will tell you on my healing journey, I get to such a great place that I think I don't need to do any work. Like, I'm like, I'm good. I'm golden. And I'm just kind of like going along. And then all of a sudden my ego gets to me, my brain gets to me, and I start to feel myself sink down. And I'm like, what's wrong? What happened? I thought I was healed. And then I realize, oh, I dropped the ball. I haven't been drinking my own water. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, I haven't been doing my things that I do. So then I get back on the healing train again and right back up again. It buoys you right back up again. So remember this too. I heard this once and I really believe in this. We don't go backward from spiritual healing. So whatever healing that level that you get to, you don't go backwards. You might stop there for a minute, but you don't go backwards. Okay, this is with our spiritual healing. You keep continuing to move forward, even if it's just little increments at a time. All right. Indeed, a soul feeding, wholesome goodness. Amen. Thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button. Give me a thumbs up. Thank you for all your comments. And if you feel like there's someone in your world that could benefit from this message today, then please share this with them. Because let me tell you something about being a YouTuber, especially in the early stages of it. It's like weird. Like you feel like you're talking to no one. You get a couple likes, you get a couple views, you get a couple things. So, but the people that do show up, they really, really love you and want to be here. So I appreciate if you would give me a thanks for the time and energy I take and send it out, like it, share it, do whatever you want to do. That would be awesome. Or to another video, whatever you guys want to do. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. And also feel free to message me on any video that you're watching with any question that you have, because I do keep questions in a queue on my phone. I have a list of questions and I go through those questions and I answer those in episodes. Shell said, I've enjoyed your time. Thank you. I'll follow you, my beautiful. And thank you, Shell Bell, for being here. It looks like you got two little ones with you in that picture, but the picture's this big, so I can't really see. And but it looks like you got like you're holding some cute little kids. So thanks everybody. So much love to each and every one of you. Take care. And until next time, remember, you matter. You're brilliant. You're beautiful. You're gorgeous. And you deserve everything that you want. It is all an escrow for you, waiting for you to deem yourself worthy of it. Peace. Oh, blessed twice. Yay. Bye, everybody. And live stream.